The gate agent had already scanned Alicia's boarding pass when the pilot's sharp voice cut through the bustling terminal. "Stop. She's not boarding this flight," he declared, his gaze icy and unwavering. The words hung in the air, leaving the 10-year-old frozen in place, clutching her bag tighter as passengers glanced her way, curious but unwilling to intervene. Alicia Thomas wasn't just another child traveling alone. She was the daughter of Harlem Airlines owner, a man whose influence was felt far beyond the polished floors of this busy airport. Yet in that moment, Alicia wasn't thinking about her father's power or the privilege she was born into. All she felt was the knot of humiliation tightening in her chest, the sting of being judged unfairly, her polished shoes, neat dress, and first-class ticket suddenly meaningless. "Rules are rules," the pilot said, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. "Go to the back of the line until someone sorts this out." Alicia's heart pounded, but she stood her ground, remembering her father's lessons about dignity. Still, when the gate agent avoided her gaze, her confidence wavered. Was she really powerless here? On Real Life Stories New, we delve into moments like this, when resilience meets injustice. But what happened next would turn the situation on its head, proving that even the smallest voice can demand to be heard. Would Alicia find the strength to rise above, or would this day forever remind her of the way the world sees her? Stay with us, this story is just beginning. Alicia stood frozen as the pilot, Captain Harris, disappeared into the cockpit. Around her, the airport buzzed with life, families reuniting, announcements echoing, and travelers moving briskly toward their gates. But for Alicia, the world had gone quiet. Her polished shoes felt heavier with each passing second, her first-class ticket suddenly a meaningless slip of paper. She could feel the sting of judgment lingering on her skin, and though she was only 10, she understood, this wasn't just a mistake. It was something deeper. Summoning the courage her father had taught her, she approached the gate agent again. "Excuse me," she began, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm supposed to be on this flight. Can you check my name again, please?" The woman glanced at her nervously, her hands shuffling through papers. I can't do anything without the pilot's confirmation," she stammered, avoiding Alicia's gaze. The response stung, but Alicia didn't back down. "My father booked this seat for me," she said firmly. "I'm not trying to cause trouble, but I belong here." The gate agent's uncomfortable silence was answer enough. Alicia's confidence faltered, her mind racing for solutions. Then she remembered her father's voice, "When the world pushes, you stand taller." She reached into her bag, her small fingers wrapping around her phone. Dialing her father's number, she held her breath as it rang. "Hello, sweetheart," came his familiar, steady voice. Her composure cracked. "Dad, the pilot won't let me on the plane," she said, her voice shaking. "He says I can't fly alone." There was a pause, but Alicia could almost hear the gears turning in her father's mind. His response was calm but decisive. "Stay where you are. I'll handle this." As she ended the call, relief washed over her, but it didn't last long. Passengers continued to board, casting fleeting glances in her direction. Alicia stood alone by the gate, every second stretching into eternity. She kept her chin up, refusing to let her humiliation show, but inside, the weight of the moment was crushing. Minutes later, a commanding voice cut through the tension. "Where is Alicia Thomas?" Alicia's heart leapt as she turned to see her father, his tailored suit immaculate, his presence commanding. Mr. Thomas scanned the scene, his dark eyes sharp as they landed on her. He gave her a small nod before turning his attention to the staff. "Where is Captain Harris?" he asked, his voice calm but laced with authority. The gate agent hesitated, her face pale. "He's in the cockpit, sir." Without another word, Mr. Thomas strode toward the aircraft stairs, his movements precise and deliberate. Alicia followed at a distance, her heart pounding. She watched as her father approached the pilot, who stood at the top of the steps, his confident posture faltering as recognition dawned. "Captain Harris," Mr. Thomas began, his tone measured but icy, "do you know who you just dismissed?" The pilot's face reddened, his previous certainty replaced by unease. "Sir, I didn't realize." "You didn't bother to realize," Mr. Thomas interrupted, his voice cutting like glass. "You judged her before you even looked at her ticket." Captain Harris stammered, his words tumbling over one another, but Mr. Thomas silenced him with a look. "You will never command another flight for this airline," he said firmly. "Your actions today reflect a lack of judgment I cannot tolerate." Alicia watched, her emotions a whirlwind. She felt a surge of vindication but also an ache she couldn't quite name. This wasn't just about her, it was about the way the world worked, how quickly people made assumptions, how easily they dismissed others. Back in the terminal, Mr. Thomas knelt beside his daughter, his expression softening. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice quiet. She nodded, her throat tight. "I'm fine, Dad." "But why did he do that? Why didn't he believe me?" Mr. Thomas sighed, his shoulders heavy. "Because people often see what they want to see," he said. "But that doesn't define you, Alicia. You define yourself." The words sank deep, but Alicia couldn't shake the weight of the day. As they boarded the plane together, she felt a mix of anger, sadness, and something new, an ember of determination she didn't fully understand yet. Sitting by the window, Alicia stared out at the runway, her father's hand resting reassuringly on hers. She replayed the events in her mind, not as a victim, but as someone searching for answers. This isn't the end of the story, she thought. It's just the beginning. And as the plane lifted into the sky, Alicia made a quiet vow. She would never let anyone diminish her again, not because of her age, her appearance, or her place in the world. She would stand tall, just as her father had taught her, and she would fight, not just for herself, but for everyone who deserved to be seen. Real-life stories New delivers tales that move, inspire, and challenge perceptions. What would you have done in Alicia's shoes? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned for more stories of resilience and courage. As the days turned into weeks, Alicia began to see the world, and herself, differently. The sting of Captain Harris's dismissal still lingered, but it had planted a seed within her, a determination to ensure no one else would feel the way she had that day. She realized that power wasn't just about wealth or influence, it was about using her voice to challenge injustice and lift others who were silenced. Sitting on the balcony of her family's estate one evening, Alicia gazed at the city lights twinkling in the distance. The humiliation she once felt had transformed into something stronger, a quiet resolve. Her father's words echoed in her mind, "The world can try to define you, but it's up to you to show them who you really are." That night, she made a decision. She wouldn't let her experience fade into a distant memory. Instead, it would be the foundation for a path forward, not just for herself, but for those who faced similar struggles. She vowed to stand tall, to speak out, and to use every resource at her disposal to create a world where no one was judged by their appearance or underestimated for who they were. Alicia's story is a testament to the power of resilience and the courage to rise above prejudice. If her journey inspired you, take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to Real Life Stories New. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers together and keep sharing stories that make a difference.